What we learnt from day one of F1 testing in Bahrain. Oh yes, F1 is back once again, and this time it's televised for 3 days of testing in Bahrain. Next week, all the predictions stop and we'll finally get a good feeling of the pecking order for the upcoming season. Here's what got us all talking during the first day of F1's official pre-season test. Mercedes Extreme Side Pods. We should have known that the team that sent the F1 paddock into uproar with their dual-axis steering, or DAS for short, in 2020 was going to have another trick up their sleeve. Heading back to the drawing board after Barcelona, Mercedes engineers have done it again. First thing this morning, Lewis Hamilton took to the track in a radically redesigned Mercedes. How is the W13 different? Well, the side pods are that narrow, they're virtually non-existent. Of course, this has gotten their rivals wondering whether the Silver Arrow's latest innovation is legal or not. Merck's got Red Bull worried. If it was Red Bull's side pods that got us all talking in Barcelona, they've got nothing on Mercedes in Bahrain. The first test had been unusually quiet in terms of teams questioning what their rivals were doing. But then again, it was only a shakedown. German publication Automoto und Sport reported that Red Bull's team principal Christian Horner had claimed Mercedes' design had violated the spirit of the regulations, and that, for us, there are some parts that are not legal. After these words were published, Red Bull weren't happy with what was being reported and initially denied the quotes, issuing a statement stating that Christian Horner has not given any interviews regarding the Mercedes car. Any quotes being attributed to him this morning are incorrect. Rather embarrassingly, they later had to backtrack and say that no official comment had been made, but something was clearly said. F1's rule busting wasn't enough. Engineers are constantly trying to find loopholes in F1's rules to give them an advantage over their rivals. However, F1's managing director Ross Brawn tried to make sure that didn't happen when drafting the biggest technical regulation change in decades, designing their own cars to see what possible interpretations they could find and covering them off in their very long rulebook. However, it seems it wasn't enough. Brawn's admitted that they didn't anticipate any team coming up with something as dramatic as the Mercedes Extreme Side Pods. Even if they're technically within the rules, that doesn't stop F1 from banning them. If the side podless Merc goes against the spirit of the regulations to promote closer racing, then teams could vote to change the wording of the rules. All they'd need is 80% of the teams to agree, and they can do this at any point throughout the season. Guess Merc better watch out then. The bouncing problem hasn't gone away. Bouncing, or to give it its correct term, porpoising, was the word on everyone's lips in Barcelona. The switch to ground effect aerodynamics has seen the new cars bounce along the track as they lose and regain downforce. Despite the knowledge from testing, it's still looking like a major issue up and down the grid, as we could see from the cameras. Unfortunately for them, teams' wind tunnels can't accurately predict how this effect works, so they are reliant on the on-track testing time to try and get to grips with it before they go racing in a week's time. What makes it even worse is that the Bahrain circuit itself is rather bumpy. I bet the drivers were feeling a little bit sick after today's session. If it carries on, the FIA may be forced to intervene and alter the regulations to raise the floor before the teams blow their $140 million budget on spares. A couple of reliability issues. It wasn't the best day for McLaren. Lando Norris was forced to sit out of most of the morning session as his team investigated a problem with the car. The team never confirmed what the issue was, but his mechanics were spotted taking a look at his front brakes inside the garage. Aston Martin's Sebastian Vettel also had some problems of his own. A suspected brake-by-wire issue saw him heavily lock his front tyres whilst out on track. Gasly on top. Everyone seemed to be clocking in their fastest laps right at the end of the day's running. However, it was AlphaTauri's Pierre Gasly who put himself up to the top of the timing sheets on the C5 tyres. His 1 minute 33.902 put him nearly half a second clear of the Ferrari Carlos Sainz. In total, the Frenchman completed 103 laps, but it was actually Sergio Perez who completed the most laps out of anyone with 138, despite ending the session early after beaching his car in the gravel trap at the outside of turn 8. There you have it, all the key things we've learnt from day one of F1 testing in Bahrain. Which team do you think is strongest at this current stage? Let us know in the comment section below.